Danful offers unparalleled, curated, and bespoke tours across Africa for travelers seeking genuine cultural experiences, enriched with magnificent sights, sounds, and flavors found on the continent. Each trip is reliably curated to ensure visitors are gifted with an immersive and authentic adventure. Whether you find yourself strolling along the charming white sand beaches of Sierra Leone, feasting on the mouth-watering delicious foods in Senegal, observing or partaking in various aspects of the Isheshe traditional system Ifa native to Yoruba land, Nigeria, with Danful, you will rediscover a fulfilling sense of kinship to the true heart of the motherland, her communities. Our core values focus on integrity, quality, safety, and sustainability. We are uniquely committed to assisting with the advancement of African infrastructure and promoting African businesses, so both travelers and the communities they visit receive beneficial exchanges. At Danful, we understand the importance of connectivity, and we have created a model which provides bespoke experiences based on your passions or hobbies. With us, expect a long-lasting spiritual bond between you and your destinations. Live, love, Danful, Africa. To learn more, visit danful.africa.
Peace, family. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Who on this Sunday evening. You guys know the drill. Hit that like button. Make sure you hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. Listen, this time Sunday, I will be landing or leaving Morocco and landing in Sierra Leone this time next week. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to being back in Sierra Leone. Again, guys, hit that like button. Make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe. Get on up in the chat, y'all. Get up in the chat. Got a couple of announcements. Go Dogs. First of all, go Dogs. Okay, not only am I a fan, that's my alma mater. I went to the University of Georgia. Yeah, but yeah. Go Dogs, y'all. Go Dogs. And if the Dogs ain't your team, that's okay. You still welcome when it comes to a search for Huru. So hit the like button. And please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe. I got a couple of announcements, and that's number one. We are rolling to Cape Town, South Africa, March 25th through April 2nd for the Jazz Festival. See, I knew a hater. I knew a hater was gonna present himself. I knew it. I knew a hater was gonna pop up in the chat. Without a fail. I knew a hater from Decatur. Well, really a hater from Alabama, from Tuscaloosa. I knew was gonna pop up in the chat, and here he is. Fitzgerald Stevens find ways to win. Guys, make sure you subscribe to Fitzgerald's channel, even though he's a hater from Alabama. I'm not even gonna place him in Decatur. We're gonna place him in Alabama. So y'all, do me a favor, subscribe to his channel. Find ways to win. The Bammer fan, who they got a big game, who we just beat for the SEC championship, y'all. We beat Alabama for the SEC championship last week. And Fitzgerald's my brother. And after the game, I called him and he hung up on me. My brother, Fitzgerald Stevens, I called him after the game. And he hung up on me. Now Alabama didn't got the best of us. Since I've known Fitzgerald, since I met Fitzgerald in 2007 at Atlanta, it was Atlanta Auto and Repair. across from the Compound. If y'all remember the club, the Compound, in Atlanta, Fitzgerald, he had a auto repair shop across the street. And this when I was working for Aflac Duck, and I was on the streets. I was cold calling. I went up in there, and I go in there, and my eyes just started burning. I thought I had an allergic reaction to something. Like my eyes just started burning, and I see all this Alabama paraphernalia all over in the lobby. And this was 2007, and me and Fitzgerald been strong for 18 years. Now, the whole time now, Alabama's gotten the best of us. I've never hung up on Fitzgerald. Whenever Fitzgerald calls me after the game to give me a hard time and talk his talk and talk trash and talk crap and give me a hard time, I've never hung up on him. But this time he hangs up on me. I'll call Fitzgerald. We beat y'all. I hear the click. And I ain't hear back from Fitzgerald for 24 hours. I think 48 hours. I'm not Fitzgerald. Why we hanging up on each other now? My Bulldogs beat your Crimson Tide. And you ain't still came to reality that Nick Saban ain't the head coach for Alabama anymore. I can't help you can't get over that. I can't help you can't get over the reality that Nick Saban is no longer the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and y'all just an 8-4, 9-3 football team. You was in full delusion. He can't get over it. He still thinks this is the Nick Saban's Crimson Tide. And so when we beat him in the SC championship, I called you something else, but I'm not going to say it online. But anyways, he still hung up on me. No matter what I called him. I called him something else, but he hung up on me. I still didn't deserve to get hung up on, Fitzgerald. Even when I called you. I still didn't deserve to get hung up on. Anyway, let's get back to the topic. So, we are rolling to Cape Town March 25th through April 2nd, March 25th through April 2nd. If you are interested in joining us, please visit donfo.africa. Again, please visit donfo.africa. That's DANFO.Africa. Again, that's DANFO.Africa to learn more. We would love to have you all on one of our trips. We're also going to Senegal in May for the Jazz Festival. That's May 9th to the 18th. We are also rolling to Nigeria in August for the Oshun Festival. That's August 9th to the 18th. Then we're going to Zanzibar September 20th to 29th. And then in that's September. And in November, we are rolling to Ivory Coast and Ghana. It's a 2-for-1er. And that's in November. So please visit Donfo. That's DANFO.Africa. Again, please visit Donfo. That's DANFO. Okay, I didn't figure out who this is. Is this you, Wally? Wally, is this you, Wally? I think I didn't figure out who it is. Is that you? Is that you, Wally? I think I put 2 and 2 together. Yes, okay, it is Wally. Okay, shout out to Wally. Hey, shout out to Wally for the $100 holla yesterday. Again, shout out to Wally for the $100 holla yesterday. Shout out to Wally. Appreciate you, Wally. I appreciate that. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much for that. Let's jump into today's topic. Swag. And I want to play this clip, and this is what between Dave Anderson and Frank Zanu, who I respect both of these brothers. I've had Dave on the show a couple of times actually, and I respect both of these brothers. But I just got a question: has Black culture FBA, Black, ADOS, whatever you want to call it, has it been reduced to swag? Because whenever we have these, you guys are imitating us arguments, we don't bring up George Washington Carver, Booker T. Washington, Malcolm X, the great inventors from Black America who invented the stoplight. There's a stoplight everywhere. Everywhere on this planet, there's a stoplight. It was invented by Black America, but we don't bring that up. These "you are imitating us" conversations always get reduced to saggy jeans, long white tees. Excuse my language. I don't like using this word. What's up, my nigga? An African says, "What's up, my nigga?" All of a sudden, FBA, oh yeah, y'all want to be us. And now Tim's. But I'm from Cali. We don't get Garrett Morgan. Who was it? Garrett Morgan who invented the Is it darn shame? I should know this. Was it Garrett Morgan? Yeah, Garrett Morgan. Garrett Morgan. I was right. Garrett Morgan. We don't talk about that. It always gets reduced to "what's up, my nigga?" Excuse my language. But I want to play a clip from this interesting debate. It was actually a good debate. And I like Frank Zano. I don't agree with everything he says, but he makes some great points. But let's and this is from the Daily Wrap Up crew. Let's go ahead and play this.
You must listen to when I say there is no such thing as African American culture.
We have culture, we have influence, and no, I'm not just talking about taking weeds and turning them into collard greens or taking innards and turning them into chitterlings. I'm talking about the.
And see, that's every culture in Mexico they do that. In Africa to do that, like making chitlins and eating innards. That's nothing that's nothing new. That's why I just think we missed the mark when it comes to this Black American culture argument. It's like we reduce our culture to plantation food and rap music, gangster rap music, the most dysfunctional rap music. That's where all this culture talk, that's what it gets reduced to. Chitlins and gangster rap.
Fact that we have persevered and we are the most copied individuals on the planet. So much so, if I'm wrong, please explain Akon to me. Please explain Burna Boy to me. They all do a very.
And see, and that's the thing. That proves my point. It gets reduced to the dysfunctional part of our culture and to chitlins when we have these arguments.
Variation of who we are. And I'm not just talking about music. I'm talking about the walk. I'm talking about the talk. I'm talking about the hairstyles. I'm talking about the innovation. Everything we do. We took a construction worker's boot and made it the hottest.
I'm from Cali. I don't wear Timbs. I'm from the West Coast. We don't wear Timbs in the West Coast. I live in the South. We don't wear Timbs out here. That's a New York thing. Actually, from my understanding, the word "yo" comes from Vietnam. That's what I was told. Yeah, but I'm not taking the "we wear Chucks and run with it" and say that's Black American culture. Okay, so Pan-Africanists, you got to understand. What we're doing, you brought up Chucks and Dickie suits. Now we're conflating prison culture with Black American culture. A lot of that stuff comes from the prison system. The Chucks, the Dickie suits, the Dickies, the work pants. It was a prison uniform. It was a work uniform. A lot of that stuff comes from the prison system. You have to understand. Yeah, but a lot of that stuff comes from the prison system. I mean, that guys, like literally, it comes from the prison system. And Mexicans was wearing that. Tim's and Dickie suits, both Mexicans and Black folks could claim it. Respectfully. Mexicans, they was rocking the hell. They rocked the hell out of that too. It all comes from the prison system. Go ahead, Skywalker.
How you doing, Donis?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. First thing I want to say is that the word yo comes from the Akan language, the Chi language. It actually means okay. African Americans actually incorporate a lot of Chi words into their in their language. They don't even realize it, right? When they say foe, that means person. On phone them, right? That literally means on the person. But that's a whole nother ball game. And I like what you just said about what is. Can you hear me, Donis?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. And I like what you said about the prison. Jeans, the jeans actually started out in the prison. At first, black people didn't, a lot of black people wore slacks and ties and stuff like that, which is still European clothes, but I mean, it's better than, looking like you're in jail. Jeans, jean pants started in jail because they were doing a lot of labor there or whatever. So that's where that comes from. But also going back to FBA culture. There is no FBA culture. Like I said the other day, yesterday, I think. FBA culture is non-existent. Saying FBA culture is really saying white supremacist culture, because everything that FBA is about is supporting white commercialism. For example, this guy was talking about Timberland boots. What black people out here making money off Timberland boots?
That's what I'm saying. I just Timberland boots.
Like what? And then I heard, I don't know if it's true or not. I even heard that the tree on the side of a Timberland boot represent lynching. I don't know how true that is. It's a lot of folk tales out here, but I heard that out there too. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just saying it. But yeah, we literally walk around with white people names on our backs. There's literally nothing. Like I say, there was an African American culture, but that's been completely obliterated. Not completely, maybe. There's still some instances where we can go to a jazz club and hear some nice smooth jazz. We might get some nice spoken word clubs around here where we're hearing some nice African American poetry talking about the culture. Every now and then when you're driving down the street, depending on what radio station you're listening to, you might hear some Isley Brothers, you might hear some Temptations, some Marvin Gaye, some classic R&B. All of that, in my opinion, was genuine African American culture. The very drum beat that you hear in the background when you hear some of that music is indicative of Africanness. And it seems the further and further away that we get away from, I was just telling my girlfriend this other day. I was like, it seems like when you listen to some Curtis Mayfield, right? And like Curtis Mayfield used the bongo drums a lot in the background. And it seems, and when you go back to like the 1950s, 1960s, essentially, we still hadn't been over here that long, right? In terms of our ancestors coming over from Africa. But the more and more the generations we go on, like the more and more that the generations in the future are born, the further and further that they are estranged from their culture. But I mean, there's no FBA culture. I mean, if we continue to perpetuate this idea of FBA culture, black people will be non-existent in America. Well, African Americans will be non-existent in America. Why? Because FBA culture, I mean, you can't go to Africa and identify one culture that makes music about killing and murdering each other. Even Afrobeat doesn't even have that type of content in it, right? Talking about murdering and killing each other. If that's your culture, so be it, but that's a destructive culture. Homosexuality, if that's your culture, then so be it, but that's a destructive culture and it serves white interests. It's xenophobia. If xenophobia is your culture, let it be your culture, but you're not gonna benefit off that. Dynas, man, and I as like I say, as somebody who's a lawyer, somebody that's in the legal profession, there's something called redactions, right, in law. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's sometimes when it comes down to certain elements of evidence, lawyers or the paralegals or the lawyers have to go through and take out certain names, certain addresses and stuff out of certain areas of evidence, right? And so when we do this, we literally take a black cursor and put it all over the name, so you can't see the name no more, right? And this is indicative of black culture. That's why I don't even like using the term black, right? Black means to erase. So to call yourself a black American, you literally are saying I'm an erased American. I'm an invisible American in the legacy of Ralph Ellison, who wrote the book The Invisible Man. So I mean, and essentially that's what we have become. We have become a people that are invisible. As long as we walk around calling ourselves black Americans and doing the things that we do, we're making ourselves invisible. And in many ways, the American government is treating us in an invisible light. Dynas, I'm doing some work as I've talked to you about before on trying to fix the educational system where I am, and hopefully and eventually in all of America. But one of the things that I discover when I take these issues to the educators in these schools, right? A lot of them are.
Hey, Scott, we got 30 seconds. I gotta pass the mic.
Okay, well, go ahead, Dynas. I'll just chime in.
Okay. Tinga BC, go ahead.
Greetings to all you brothers. First of all, with greetings and respect. But I had these conversations all the time with African American, quote unquote African Americans. And it's like we reduce our culture to entertainment and ancillary things, but the things that actually build communities, the aspects of culture that actually build communities, we don't value that. There's no rites of passage within the African American culture. There's no marriage rights or relationship rights within African American culture, but we proud to be entertainers and be really just be walking commercials for European products. I mean, for people to take pride in having people sagging their pants and buying Timberlands and wearing fitted hats of teams that are owned by small hats you don't have no control over. Like I say, FBA culture is sharecropper culture. We love making other people rich and just being posters for other people's products. And then when other people start winning, we try to take credit for it. It's like, if you're not trying to be autonomous, no other group of people is going to respect you, and therefore we get we take pride in a very small percentage of other groups of people trying to, I guess, what they think imitate us, but they're ultimately not imitating us because they're wearing products of people that is not us. You can say that we style it different, but how that has no substance. It holds no benefit to the group of people that we are, which is African American. So I really don't. To me, it's really sad, and it shows the lack of context that we have outside the United States, which is really an American thing in itself. Most Americans are not really cultured in terms of knowing what's going on around the world and knowing how other cultures operate. And I definitely agree with what the brother was saying as far as the longer we stay over here, the more the less and less culture that we have as far as distinction. But the African Americans are just becoming really Europeanized as far as like I can't say Europeanized. I'll just say they're Americanized. Kids is like they with the anime stuff now. They like the more and more we stay here, it's like the more cream that you put in a coffee, the more it just becomes cream. And Black Americans are just becoming cream. I'll yield the mic.
All right,
Great
go ahead,
point, bro.
Sid. Go ahead, Sid.
Hey, Dennis.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I met you on Kenya flight, right? Kenya Airway going to Nairobi.
What's going on, man? Yeah, I remember. I remember. How you doing?
Yeah, I was the one that went to you and spoke to you. Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I
good.
remember. I remember.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. My view on FBA culture is what hurt me a lot is if mostly if they say, well, hip hop is our culture, right? I mean, looking at hip hop, despite the violence and everything that is surrounding hip hop, people that even hearing hip hop, they don't even know what they want, right? You don't know whether they're sleeping with men or they're sleeping with ladies. Anything that comes their way, they sleep with that. How can someone identify a group like that to be your culture, right? It's almost like when Nigerians say, "Oh, Fela Okuchi is our culture." Whatever Fela was singing, sleeping with a bunch of women, and Nigerians say, "Oh, Fela Okuchi music is our culture." Right? Like what the previous guy was saying, how can you identify your culture with entertainment? Entertainment that talk about violence, killing each other, sleeping with, different men and women. They don't even know what they're sleeping with. So that's the most frustrated part about it, you know, seeing African Americans to be being the most successful black on this planet, and they identify themselves with hip hop. That hip hop is our culture. When you see Snoop Dogg, he's passing around smoking weed. These are the people that you identify your culture with. That's the part I don't understand. It's better to say, well, we should go to Africa and try to identify Nigeria being the biggest black country. We should try to pick, a culture over there to identify ourselves with that. Then, taking hip hop to be your culture. That's the part I don't understand, you know. But you, thanks.
All right, go ahead,
Yeah, bro.
information man show. Let me get through the panel first, Skywalker. Go ahead, information man show.
Yeah, we have to first distinguish. How's everybody doing? We must first distinguish what culture is. And we have to understand the dynamics of what has happened to black people in America. Everyone keeps talking about rap music. How many people on the panel understand the origins of rap music? Rap music was never originally supposed to be what you're hearing today. Rap music was infiltrated once they realized they could profit off of it. And that's when they allowed people to come through the door with the gangster rap. Prior to that, you had black people back in the 80s, back in the 90s, particularly in the 90s, who were talking about "Go East, my brother." We had brothers and sisters wearing African medallions that were talking conscious rap. And then something happened where it got flipped around, where those black rappers, female and male, were not able to shop their music, which was giving us an uplift. If you go back in the 80s, most of the rap videos were being recorded on historical black colleges. It actually made an uptick and increase in people enrolling in college because the rappers at that time were displaying education. It was metaphorical. And then it got infiltrated and they could not get any radio play. You had Public Enemy and these type of groups that got phased out as white society, who really controls the music industry, push the gangster rap and sort of the destructive type of rap that you hear today. What you have to understand in our history is that you have something called Sambo and Gumbo. People believe that Uncle Tom, which we should not use that term because Uncle Tom actually, if you read the book, was trying to help young brothers that were escaping from slave plantations here in America. Okay, it was Sambo and Gumbo who turned on us and who made buffoons of our culture. What you have today with the rappers that are buffoonish is that this is a byproduct of that degenerate offshoot of those black people within the community who are outliners. This is not who we are. See, what we do is that we minimize the greatness of things that we do, and we maximize the degenerate part of the culture. Everybody in the world, no matter where you are in diaspora, there is somebody within your culture that is doing degenerate things that you don't agree with. And I'm sure you would say, whether folks are from South Africa, Nigeria, anywhere in the diaspora of the world, I'm sure you would say those individuals do not represent us. What happens is that it gets magnified in the media, it gets magnified on social media, and then you believe or start to think that, oh, that's black people culture. I've said this before, Dinus, and I'm going to say it again. The FBA movement is an internet movement. It's internet. Most black people that are out here on the streets working hard every day, they're not thinking about no FBA. I work with black folks that come from other parts of the world. I'm not at work talking about I'm better than you, because this is internet. Y'all gotta understand the distinction between the two. It's internet. The only reason why you got an FBA because Tariq Nasheed was trying to infiltrate the ADOS movement, which was a movement based in politics to get reparations for black folks who had a plight here in America. He infiltrated it so that he could market it for himself, make money off of it, make flags, and push an ideology, his ideology. That's not black culture. So please stop saying that this is black culture. It's internet culture amongst those black people who buy into the ideology like anything else. Please, it's not. Understand the history. I'm hearing people talking about rap music and they don't even know the origins of how it started and why it is today the way it is. If you're going to talk about something, give history. Dinus, you was right. The prison clothing, the sagging of the pants, that comes out of prison culture. And as these individuals left prison and went into pop culture and rap music, and they start wearing the things that they wore in prison, they popularized it. It's called popularizing. It doesn't represent us. It represents someone who can market the look, the style. And just to the gentleman that was on earlier, jeans started in California. I put it in the damn chat room. It was Levi Stripes, 1870. Miners were the ones that first wore jeans. That's how it got started. Jeans were used as work clothing. That's how it started. We got to stop putting labels on black people that you're dealing with on internet. The internet shit don't apply to all black people in the diaspora or on this planet. It's internet. I'm going to say that again. Before you start making these statements, understand what is going on. The FBA ain't nothing but an offshoot of people who were dissatisfied and unhappy with ADOS, so they broke off with Tariq Nasheed and joined his tribe. That ain't the black tribe. That's his tribe. I rest my case, Dinus, and everyone that's listening.
All right, go ahead, Elvis.
All right. Thank you, Dinus, and hello to the panel. Look, I tend to agree more with what the last speakers, the last speaker said. I think hip hop music or hip hop culture is just popular black culture. There's subgroups of music within every culture. Like in Nigeria, for example, you have different kinds of African music that is not as popular as Afro beats, and certain people prefer those kinds of music. The Afro beats and the way they dress, the way they sing about provocative things. Most older Yoruba, for example, don't really listen to Afro beats. They might listen to Fuji, they might listen to Juju music, they might listen to some other form of music that is not in the mainstream. And the culture with that music is completely different than what we see with Afro beats. So comparing and taking and using hip hop to represent the entirety of African American music or culture, it's not right. It's only a subsection of it, but it's the popular subsection of the culture and the music. So some people prefer R&B music, for example, right? Or soul music, which is more calm, which is more positive, more about loving yourself and loving each other. So you can't use hip hop, the violence or the debauchery of what it represents today, and think that's encompass the entirety of African American culture. I myself, for example, I don't listen to hip hop the way I used to listen to it when I was younger because the things that's being said in these music I just can't connect with. I'm not a gangbanger. I've never been a gangbanger. I've never been somebody who's been involved in violence or drug dealing. The majority of the music now is about that. So if you're looking for something that you can connect with on a spiritual level, you find other genres of music. You might go to soul music or or R&B music. Same thing with white people. They have popular music, pop music, right? But a lot of white people like country music. It's not the mainstream of their music, but the white people criticize popular music as being degenerate, promoting sex, and all kinds of things that they don't agree with. So they tend to lean more on country music. So there's always a segment, or a a culture within a culture, and usually the popular part of that culture is something that a lot of people don't agree with. So the clothing, like people were saying about jeans and baggy clothes, that's coming from
Hello?
elsewhere. Some people say it's from the prison, others say it's from, other things that black people took and incorporated in a subsection of their culture. So let's not blame every black person for hip hop. A lot of people who don't agree with it, a lot of people who prefer other kinds of music and other ways of dressing than just hip hop culture and hip hop attire. But that's my take. I'll pass the mic.
Yeah. I want to
Uh,
tag
uh,
on to what he was saying though.
hey,
Has everyone looked at the
information man show.
rap?
Let me
What
do this real
about
quick.
punk rock? What about rock and roll? White people have degeneracy in their music too. Just wanted to say that.
All right, go ahead, Teddy.
Yeah, okay. So when you ask an FBA minded person, what's the culture? The default is hip hop. Hip hop's the culture. But there's more to culture than music, than just basically hip hop. You have language, you have written language, you have religion or spiritual systems, you have food, you have all that type of thing. So they never, and I say, well, what's that? What are those parts of the culture? And they come back to hip hop every single time. Is hip hop is the culture. It's not a culture, it's a genre of music. It might be part of a culture, part of the culture, but there are other aspects of a culture that make up a culture. So it's been going around here because I watched a video the other day. I don't know if other people have seen that, where it was, forget his name, but Frank somebody, but he was saying that black folks in America don't have culture, and he stuck by that. Now he was on with I'll go ahead and say her name, Karen Hunter's show. So he was on there with her, going back and forth with her, and she was getting all offended. But he was saying, well, black folks in America don't have culture because the culture was originally taken from them. Everything he was saying was making sense, but she was getting so offended about, that she was saying that black folks in America don't have culture, and think he was explaining why black folks don't have culture in America because the culture was taken away. It was stolen from them. Everything that part of the black American culture now is white American. Is you speaking? I'm speaking a European language now. There's no language that's specifically for black folks in America. There's no written language or a tradition. What are we about to celebrate now? Christmas is coming up, and what did we celebrate last month? Thanksgiving. Those are European traditions. So a culture is made up of more things than just music or a genre of music. There happen to be traditions, languages, whether written or spoken, and food is part of that as well. So that's what I wanted to say about whether this is FBA has a culture or not. To me, there there it is a culture, but it's mostly negative. And who wants to? I don't want to be associated with that negative part of that supposed culture. But that's all I had to say.
All right, go ahead. Information Man Show. You wanted to add something?
I just wanted to say, in all respect to everybody on the panel, I agree with the last caller that there was a lot that was stripped from black people through the slave trade coming over here. And what black people had to do is we had to adapt. And so where I disagree is that we had to actually create our own systems within a very hostile environment. Now, of course, the Bible, Christianity, all those things were kind of forced on us, just as it's been forced on other parts of the world. But keep this in mind. When I was growing up, you had white kids that were into punk rock, coloring their hair. That was weird stuff. You have rock and roll bands that literally were saying demonic stuff in their music. So although we want to address the fact that there are some negative things within black music that we need not to promote or support, don't make this that, it's just a black thing, because every culture has degenerate activities that goes on amongst it, left and right, because we're living in the belly of the lion, and it's going to manifest some negative things. So I think it's important what the brother said. Language is important, food is important, but again, you said it, brother. Black people had to adapt to where we were. And that's what you're looking at out of that. But then, Dynas, would you agree or disagree that there were some beautiful things that was developing in the Harlem's Renaissance?
Oh, absolutely.
To me, I think that is the true essence of what black people created here in America within our own segregation.
But Information Man Show.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off. The issue is when we have these arguments, when we get to have these debates about African American culture, we never bring that up.
Right.
Never.
And you know why, Dynas? Because you just said it already. Because and the other brother said it already, we're so caught up in this pop culture thing that we have forgotten the classics of our culture. And so that, to me, is the loss blueprint that we have lost, is what they were doing in the Harlem's Renaissance with the art, the poetry, the jazz, all of those things that I believe actually represents the true essence of what I would call Black American culture, in which we had to sort of adapt something out of nothing. I'll render my mic there.
Okay, let me say this, right? Part of culture is promotion of it, right? Like in Africa, for example, the societies, the traditional societies are presented to young people at a very young age, so they know about it. So, for example, with music, if you don't have the source of distribution, or just culture that you want to promote to your people, and you don't have the means to promote it, because African Americans don't all live in one location. They're spread out in this vast country, right? In this vast nation. So you have to be able to distribute your culture to your people. If what's happening in Harlem, if you want to send it all the way out to California, right? How do you do that? You have to use a medium like the internet, or through music or whatever the case may be. If you don't have TV stations where you can connect with the people in California and say, this is what we are pushing, this is our culture here, and we want to share it with you. If the white man or the other races have the medium to that, they're going to pick and choose what they want to project, and what they think is going to be profitable. So I think that's one of the issues where certain kinds of music and certain aspect of a culture become popularized by other people, who are not from that culture. So I think that's probably the root cause of it. Because had it been somebody who was more conscious minded, who had the means to project African American culture, I think the likes of hip hop and other degenerate, things would probably have been suppressed, and the more positive and intellectual parts of African American culture would have probably been projected to their people, and even outside of America. So that's what I think.
To me, it's not. It's like the distribution is. I mean, yeah, that's cool, but it's like even his breakdown of the history of hip hop. Yeah, there was a more positive element within hip hop, but again, hip hop is really at its core mainstream hip hop. has always been about consumerism, commercialism, and it's not a conducive part to obtain autonomy and create continuous community. As far as like the classical African American culture, yeah, I mean that existed, but again, the fundamental basis of our culture in the United States is really sharecropping culture. There's positive things that came from it, but again, majority of the time, it's making other people more wealthy, and we take the scraps. Muddy Waters, all of them, type BB King, all of those people. The small hats had them in crazy, horrible contracts. Yeah, they made great art, but that didn't benefit our people in any way, substantive way. It made a little bit of people a little bit of money, and it made the people that are outside our community money. Until we value stuff that's constructive, that's actually going to create families, and not be caught up in all out of the entertainment like that. The entertainment doesn't mean anything. We don't have we if you want to build a culture, have rites of passage, create relationship and marriage rights as far as culture is concerned, because that's the stuff that's going to build communities. Rap songs and R&B songs and even jazz tracks, that's not finna build nobody's family. That's not substantive. That's the thing. We are bigger than entertainment as Black people. We got to stop reducing ourselves to that, regardless if the entertainment is considered positive or not. I'll yield the mic.
Guys, hit the like button again. Please hit that like button. Go ahead, whoever's about to talk.
I would just want to say this.
Wanted to follow what I was saying.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What I was saying earlier about, when you ask FBA what's the culture, they like to point to individual achievements. Well, George Washington Carver, he invented this. Lewis Latimer, he invented that. These are individuals within the Black community who have achieved things. They should be recognized for that, but that's not the culture. That's not the culture. Those are achievements by individuals within the Black American community. That's another thing that go to that the FBA minded people like to go to. We didn't achieve this, we achieved that. But what does that do for Black folks as a whole? In aggregate, it does nothing. It's great that those ancestors, they had done those things, and they should be acknowledged and recognized for those achievements. But it's just like Steph Curry, he scored 1,000 points in a game, and they'll say, well, that's part of the culture. That's an achievement by one person within the Black community, and they take that and run with it. I just wanted to kind of add that to what I said earlier.
Right. I like to add this too. I understand what the panelists are saying, but this is one aspect of the culture. When you talk about the music, certainly the music didn't build the community in terms of keeping people together. It would benefit individuals, it's true. But you're negating the fact that there were organizations that have been around for a long time that were involved in promoting family. There were a lot of other things going on that was promoting family within the Black community that had nothing to do with entertainment. Another thing that we have to also recognize is that if we're going to say that Black people were in slavery for 200 years, shackle slavery, which means that everyone else had a head start on us, which means we don't have generational wealth, then obviously the door that was open to Black people, if you know the history, is that entertainment, unfortunately, as well as sports at some point in time, were the only avenues at that time that Black people were allowed to go into where they could make some type of money, even though they would get ripped off in the contracts. And we know that when you go back and you look at Broadville and the minstrel shows, you had Jewish people who controlled most of the purse strings of that stuff during that time. If you take any ethnic group and you put them in slavery, and you create a situation where they don't have economic freedom, then they're not going to be able to be whole as a group, at least in this capitalist society we call America. So keep that in mind when you're making those kind of statements. You got to keep in mind, what was the condition of Black people at that time in America? And America was a segregated country in which only certain avenues were opened up to Black people, and Black people only made so much money. You can't do a lot as a group if you don't have economic stability. The only thing that Black people could have at that time through historical facts is the church, is their celebrations, which is why music and entertainment was an area that a lot of Black people had gravitated towards, because during slavery, when they gave the slaves Sunday off, they gave us Sunday off to do what? To indoctrinate us with the Bible. And there was also a time for Black folks that were enslaved to be able to sing and entertain each other. Those were the avenues of the atmosphere of American society. So you got to keep that in mind. You got to understand the historical context before you just say, well, Black people, the entertainment didn't do anything for us. The society wasn't doing anything for us. It goes even bigger than that. I'll rest my mic there.
Brother, that has nothing to do. That's what I like. That point is null and void, because that has nothing to do with the inner workings of our culture. Just because somebody's not allowing you to benefit off of, I guess you're saying, other industries, that has nothing to do with somebody creating a marriage rights or rites of passage for the young men in the community,
wait a minute,
or creating apprenticeship programs. I'm talking about the substantive aspect of the entertainment. The way that we put it to the forefront is not as valuable as we make it seem. I'm not saying that they had a means to control it. I'm saying it's 2025 Gregorian time, and the entertainment should still not be at the forefront as it is for most of our people.
Right. I agree with you. But I did say when I started, I did say that there were other things that were going on in Black America that was positive in terms of building families. We should not make entertainment the center of our ethos, right? But unfortunately, in some aspects, we have done that. But while you sit up there and say that, brother, I would challenge you right now and say, well, are you involved in mentoring? Are you involved in an organization or supporting an organization that is doing the work to build Black men up, to get young Black men into skilled trades, school, whatever? I'm doing it. Okay. Are you involved in anything that is promoting Black family? I'm involved in an academy that does that. So that's what the thing that bothers me about people when they get on these YouTube streets is that,
brother, I am though. Before you make that statement about this, in the YouTube streets, yes, I am involved in a lot of in America and on the continent and in the Caribbean. So yes,
that's wonderful. But I'm talking about here in America. I'm involved.
I said in America. Yeah, majority of the work I do is in America.
Okay,
I'm here.
Then that's good. But don't set up here and just assume that everything, that nobody's doing nothing and it's just all entertainment that's representing Black people.
That's not what bro. That's what I'm saying. See, you're getting emotionally tied to what I'm saying. It has nothing to do. I never said that that's the only aspect. I'm saying that's the aspect that the average person is going to push to the forefront. Of course, you're going to have pockets of people that are going to do things that are substantive for the community. But in terms of culture, which is the context of the conversation, there hasn't been a continuity of, like I said, the substantive aspects of culture, the relationship rights, the rites of passage for the young men, the rites of passage for the young women, the societies like that are on the continent.
There are, sir, all due respect to you, this is the difference. And I had said it before. The things that people are really doing in a community like yourself, that's not being promoted. What we do, as I said before, we maximize the minimum. We minimize the maximum and we maximize the minimum. So we take what's negative in a community, whether it be people focused on music or these rappers or entertainers, and we act as if they represent our whole community when there are actually people out here like yourself that are doing the work. The difference is you're not getting the promotions. There's no big spotlight on you. But these
you're missing the point.
No, I'm not missing.
You're missing the point, because culture in itself, in terms, it would make it that it's prevalent. If it's not the majority, then you can't say that it's pervasive of culture. That's the whole entire point.
But we don't know what.
Yes, there's pockets, but it's not brother. There has not been a continual aspect of any rites of passage, no relationship.
How do you know that? Did you live in every state in California?
Brother, we're speaking about African American culture in general.
Well, I just said up here and told you earlier, the FBA movement is an internet movement.
I'm not talking about FBA. I'm saying African American culture in general, but beyond FBA, brother. I'm talking our cultural norms, our folkways, our mores. There has not been any continual relationship rights, no rites of passage, no apprenticeship program. No, it hasn't existed.
So you
for
say
no continuous period of time.
You can't say that because like he was saying.
I can say that because
hold on, bro.
if it existed, it would be a prevalent
We're
in the
not
culture.
arguing with you. Let other people speak, bro. The South, Black African Americans in the South, in the West, in the North. You think their culture is the same? You don't think people develop different social mores, over time in different regions and different rites of passages within their community?
No.
How can you say no so definitively when you don't know and you don't live in those communities?
What are you talking, bro? What are you talking about? I don't, bro. I've lived all over the United States.
Are you telling me you've been in? So let me just ask you this simple question. So you've been. Let's see. This is a big ass country. We got Black people that live in all different states, and there's different cities within those states. So, for example, I live in California. Can you tell me what's going on in Oakland and parts of LA where they have programs at? Do you know what's going on down in Stockton? Do you know what's going on in Sacramento with the programs that are happening here in Sacramento with the Alpha Academy? Do you know what's happening in Detroit? You got a group of brothers in Detroit that are doing some
new era.
Yeah,
I'm familiar, brother. But this is you. That's not the point of what I'm saying. I'm not. Again, you keep missing the point. You're missing the overarching point, and you keep going to individuals that have organizations. In order for something to be cultural, it has to be prevalent in the mainstream, a folkway or a moray, brother. It's not people doing the individual stuff in pockets. That's not culture.
You cannot say an absolute because you don't know all and all.
See, bro, brother, you are willingly missing the point, brother. It's okay. Somebody else can speak. You're missing the point.
Absolutes. No, I'm not missing the point. You missing the point.
No, you are missing the point. You speak. In order for something to be considered culture, it has to be an overarching theme, a moray, in a majority, a generality of a people. You're not gonna say because.
What are you doing to make it overall? Since you want to complain about we don't have an overall arching culture, then what are you doing as an individual to change the narrative? Because you just told me that you're doing
it's
work.
Not about to, brother. See, this is what I'm saying. So now that you're conceding the point, you're asking me what I'm doing as an individual. Yes, I'm doing. Brother, yes, I'm trying to change the trajectory, but we can't sit here and act. We can't sit up here and act and be disingenuous. And brother, if you're gonna speak. I'm not finna speak while you talking.
Well, if you're doing something, brother, that means that you are contributing to changing the narrative. So stop sitting up here saying, well, this ain't happening. You ain't every damn where in the damn country.
Brother, see, this is what you're missing the point. You continuously miss the point. This is pointless. Somebody else.
Okay, let me say this again, right? I think what you were saying, bro, is almost impossible with the geographic layout of African Americans in this country, right? I'll give you an example of Nigeria, right? In the southwestern Nigeria, that's mostly considered Yoruba land. They're concentrated within one location. On the eastern part of the country, is considered Igbo land. They're not exclusively Igbos, but they're in one geographical location. But with African Americans, they're dispersed. The United States of America is a very large country, so they're dispersed. So it's not one geographical area where you can call African American land, where there's just a concentration of African Americans and they can share their culture among each other and they can pass things along between themselves within a geographical location. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm giving you.
No, what you're saying is nonsense. That's like saying because all Muslims don't live in Baghdad that they can't have Islamic.
We're talking about religion, right? That's religion. That's religion.
But bro,
that's religion. You're talking about people don't have.
But it's separated. A lot of that's separated from just Levantine culture. No, I'm saying a lot of that is just separated from Levantine culture. That transcends religion. Okay, so a Japanese that's like saying that you have to live in Kyoto for people to be following the Bushido honor code. As far as how
do you know that in Japan, everybody there are different cultures within Japan. People that live in one part of the country and let's say the northern part of the country and the southern part of the country, they have different cultures. Do you know that?
I'm not saying that that's not the case.
Okay,
But
then.
I'm
So that's
saying
the point that I'm making.
as an over. No, I'm not saying that that's not
You
the case.
want
But as an
a
over,
unified culture.
how they operate when they go to other places. To your point with what you're saying, as far as them being people being spread out. If somebody has a culture, no matter where you go or where you're located, you have folkways and mores that you're gonna follow regardless. And that's my thing. There are certain aspects of African American culture that are, I would say, majority. It don't matter where you at in the United States. Collard greens and neck bones is finna be catfish and fried chicken, green beans,
Yeah,
candy
but
yams. That's
that
gonna be
came from
all
the
those.
South.
Yeah.
That was a culture in the South
Well, of
before
course,
African Americans spread
we
out
always in
to
the
the West
South.
and the North.
That's not the point. That's not the
No,
point of
that's
what
the
I'm
point.
saying.
That those culture, it came from one geographic location, and people then took it with them to different places. That's the point that I'm making. So now to create new culture for people that's so dispersed, it is impossible to do. That's the point that I'm making to you.
It's not
I hope you understand
impossible.
that.
We're not as dispersed as people think. Like,
What do you
majority of
mean?
our population,
Well,
majority of our population is still in the South,
right.
and that's
But
by far.
actually,
So we're
but let me just say
mostly
this.
concentrated in the same communities.
Right. Let me just say
Nah.
this. All due respect to what
Yes,
the brother
that's
said.
facts. You can't argue that.
Yeah, Black
Yeah,
people,
if I could just interject
you
for
actually are
a
right.
second.
Black
Yeah,
people were
I,
more, we were more cohesive when we were segregated in the past, where Black people had to stay within their community because we would not be accepted outside of the community. However, the brother Morris is right. Because of desegregation and how things have changed over time, Black people, we are a little bit more dispersed. However, the largest concentration, as the brother did say, is true, is in the South. But even in California, where I live at, Black people, for the most part, we're kind of spread out to different little places, but we're not as unified as we were in the past in terms of being segregated. Meaning, as a Black person today, if you make a certain amount of money, have a certain level of success, you can move out of certain communities and move into other type of communities. So we don't have the same cohesion as our ancestors had in the past, where they were forced to work together because the outer society was not going to accept them. Even when as much as I hate to talk about celebrities, even when it came to celebrities, most of the celebrities tend to live still in our communities because they could not buy a house in, quote unquote, those other types of communities. So, and then the brother made another good point. There are regional dishes. For example, I've got family in Baltimore. Well, we know in the state of Maryland, crab is a big deal. So you have certain meals centered around eating crab, similar to what they do in New Orleans. So regional food, is adaptive. You adapt to what you eat based on what's in your abundant area of where you grow up at. And in Black people, we do the best we can with what we got in the environment that we grow up in. And then those from the South bring that Southern culture with them to various places that they go. And then we, once again, like I said before, Black people, we've had to adapt to environment and to conditions that we're placed in.
I think what he's trying to say, here's a good example. Maybe this example will help. It's like when Asians come to America, and specifically just one group, say Chinese people. Now, Chinese people, they might live on the East Coast and the West Coast, but I bet they function collectively. They work together collectively. They have an overarching, what he was saying was they have an overarching tradition or culture that they bring over with them, and they take that with them no matter where they are. Say that they're in different parts of America. They know that Chinese tradition works the same no matter where they are. This is one thing. This is what I think he's trying to say is that
right. But this,
that's what I said.
This is the problem.
Right.
Good brother.
That's what I'm saying. I'm giving you an example to reinforce your point that Black folks in America don't have that. They don't have that.
We don't have that. And brother Teddy, may I ask you, why is it that Black people don't have that? This is our mistake that we sometimes make. I'm just generalizing here. We should not compare ourselves to other ethnic groups who did not come over here and shackle slavery. Asian people were not stripped of their language or their culture. You guys said earlier that Black people were we had to adapt to American ways, right? Asians and other ethnic groups, when they come over here, they have their language, their writing, their clothing, they have everything intact. Even if they're picked with, they still kind of have that cohesiveness, as you said. Black Americans when we were brought over here, they didn't even want us to, you know this already. They didn't want us to learn, they didn't want us to read, write, and they stripped us of that African language, whatever place we came from. They stripped that of us, and everything else was stripped, which is why I said again, we had to readapt ourselves. These other groups, they don't have to readapt their culture. They just adapt to the country that they're in, but they still keep their culture intact. That's why I never like to make comparisons. But I understand what you're saying, brother. But I never like to make comparisons to other ethnic groups because they don't have our history. Not the same.
But it's about functionality though. That's what I'm saying. Like you can say that, but like if you read the book Black Metropolis, it details how I think from the 30s to the 40s, it does a sample size of cities that were in the north and how black people comported themselves. When they got up to the north, they abandoned what happened in the south because they viewed it had a negative connotation. And the black businesses that we had, they would go to white businesses and try to patronize them. The preachers actually had to tooth and nail had to convince black people to not shop with white businesses and actually shop with black businesses. So I mean, a lot of the stuff that the problems that we have, bro. Yeah, the Europeans that and the Anglo-Saxons that run this country, they on our necks, and they always gonna be on our necks. But if we don't actually take a realistic view of how we operate as people and stop being colonialized ourselves in our minds, bro, we're not finna ever improve. And most of the time I have these conversations, people are too emotional to actually analyze what we have actually been doing while we've been here and the things that we can do to change it.
Right. I actually agree with you on that point because even in the 21st century, it's still a struggle sometimes to get black people to support black businesses. And then sometimes when we do support black businesses, and this is the unfortunate part of it, this is generalizing, of course, when we deal with another black person, we think because they're black that we're supposed to get a discount. Come on, man, you black like me, give me a discount, right? But we'll give our money to white business owners who charge us very high prices. You do make a very legitimate point there, sir.
All right, guys, we'll take a quick commercial break. And we'll be right back.
Danful offers unparalleled, curated, and bespoke tours across Africa for travelers seeking genuine cultural experiences, enriched with magnificent sights, sounds, and flavors found on the continent. Each trip is reliably curated to ensure visitors are gifted with an immersive and authentic adventure. Whether you find yourself strolling along the charming white sand beaches of Sierra Leone, feasting on the mouth-watering delicious foods in Senegal, observing or partaking in various aspects of the Isheshe traditional system Ifa native to Yoruba land, Nigeria, with Danful, you will rediscover a fulfilling sense of kinship to the true heart of the motherland, her communities. Our core values focus on integrity, quality, safety, and sustainability. We are uniquely committed to assisting with the advancement of African infrastructure and promoting African businesses, so both travelers and the communities they visit receive beneficial exchanges. At Danful, we understand the importance of connectivity, and we have created a model which provides bespoke experiences based on your passions or hobbies. With us, expect a long-lasting spiritual bond between you and your destinations. Live, love, Danful, Africa. To learn more, visit danful.africa.
All right, go ahead. We're back.
Well, ain't nobody. Is
Go
somebody else? What I was saying is, in my opinion, the solution to this is going and creating the communal systems that we had after Reconstruction. In my opinion, if you want to have any semblance of constructive culture, there needs to be a movement to look inward and actually be self-reliant. Because if we continue the way we're doing it in America, like I said earlier, the more you put cream in the coffee, the more it's going to become cream and not become coffee anymore. And the way that I see it trending right now is that what's happening in America. Black Americans is finna be like what happened in Argentina. As far as 100 years from now, it's not even finna be recognizable. Everybody's finna just really it look like Europeans, in my opinion. But it's not. It wouldn't be difficult to create constructive culture. There's plenty of examples. There's plenty of societies that have done it. So to me, it's just about being innovative and actually doing constructive research and starting being honest. If we continue just to be so gung-ho on entertainment and being so gung-ho on really just American culture as it is mainstream culture, then we're not going to do anything productive. Because in my opinion, American culture is not productive either. So yeah, I'll use the mic to somebody else to speak though.
I would say that you made very good points. I agree. Believe me, brother, I agree that we do need to get away from entertainment. You remember as much as I did what Malcolm X said about how he said, name a society that has entertainers, flute players, comedians being the spokesperson for that culture. You don't see that in other cultures like that, right? But in Black America, or at least those, like I call it, Sambos, they are, every time something goes down in the Black community, they're putting a mic in front of entertainers as if they speak for the whole community. And that's something that I can't stand, that I get sick of. And it goes back to your point at the end of the day that we got to get away from this infotainment ideology and thinking. So I do agree with you on that point. I rented a mic.
All right, Sid, you want to add something? And then we'll go ahead. Think about.
Oh no, I was about to just you said it already. I was going to see it if you want to say something.
Sid, you there? All right, sure. Good.
I'm about to drop off. Dinosaur.
Yeah, go ahead and shout out your channel, Information Man Show. That's what I was about
everybody.
to say.
Information Man Show. I talk about social, political, cultural issues. Good points were made here tonight. Even if there were disagreements here and there, at the end of the day, I think we all want what's best for our people, and that's for us to be self-sustained, like the brother is saying, to be independent and not be dependent. So thank you, Donis, for letting me come up and speak a little bit of my mind, and peace to the brother on the panel and everyone in the chat room. Thank you.
We appreciate you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. Donis Amir, search for Huru. Peace.
Danful offers unparalleled, curated, and bespoke tours across Africa for travelers seeking genuine cultural experiences, enriched with magnificent sights, sounds, and flavors found on the continent. Each trip is reliably curated to ensure visitors are gifted with an immersive and authentic adventure. Whether you find yourself strolling along the charming white sand beaches of Sierra Leone, feasting on the mouth-watering delicious foods in Senegal, observing or partaking in various aspects of the Isheshi traditional system Ifa native to Yoruba land, Nigeria, with Danful, you will rediscover a fulfilling sense of kinship to the true heart of the motherland, her communities. Our core values focus on integrity, quality, safety, and sustainability. We are uniquely committed to assisting with the advancement of African infrastructure and promoting African businesses, so both travelers and the communities they visit receive beneficial exchanges. At Danful, we understand the importance of connectivity, and we have created a model which provides bespoke experiences based on your passions or hobbies. With us, expect a long-lasting spiritual bond between you and your destinations. Live, love, Danful, Africa. To learn more, visit danful.africa.